Did the giants survive the flood? In the Bible, there are mysterious beings whose origins have been debated and controverted for centuries. These mysterious beings are known by many names, but in modern times they are known as the giants. But who are the giants? Where did they come from? And are there really giants in the Bible? The giants.
When human beings began to increase in number on the earth and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. Then the Lord said, "My spirit will not contend with the humans forever, for they are mortal and big. Their days will be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown." Genesis 6, 1, 4.
The English word giant is a blanket term that does not tell the whole story of these mysterious beings. To understand who the giants are, we must first understand how we got the word giants. The stories that would become the Bible first began as an oral transmission. This was the tradition of the stories that would become the Bible until the time of Babylonian captivity. It was during the time of Babylonian captivity that these stories began to be written down. These documents, written in ancient Hebrew, is the basis of what became the Old Testament. A major misconception of the Bible is the assumption that the Bible was originally written in Hebrew or Latin. In actuality, the entirety of books that eventually became the Bible was first translated into a language known as Koine Greek, the language of the Eastern Greeks. This happened nearly 800 years after the Torah began to be written down. From the original Greek that the Bible was written from, it was later translated into Latin with the Latin Vulgate. From the Latin and Greek, the Bible was translated during the early modern period into the local languages. A good example to express this point would be to look at when the Torah began to be physically written down around the 4th and 5th centuries BC, to the King James Bible written in the 17th century AD. A gap of around 2,000 years. In such a huge gap of time, various translational issues have occurred. A good example of this would be the apple in the story of Adam and Eve. When Pope Damascus requested the original Greek to be translated into Latin, biblical scholar Jerome took the Hebrew word peri and used the Latin word malum. Malum has dual meanings. It means evil, and at the same time, it could mean apple. Hence, the evil fruit became an apple. A similar translational ambiguity comes from the word giant. The word giant comes from the original Greek translation of the Bible, yigas, the Greek word meaning giant. However, this is not the word used in the original Hebrew of the Torah and Tanakh. They use different words which have different meanings. The first use of the word is Nephilim, the second Gibborim, the last Rephaim, and the word giant was used interchangeably with each of these different words. The first major mention of a giant is in Genesis with the mention of the Nephilim. The Nephilim in Genesis are the children of the sons of God who laid with the daughters of men. In the canon Bible, not much is known about the pre-flood giants other than they seem to all perish during the Great Flood. A greater explanation of Nephilim can be found in 1 Enoch, which tells the story of Enoch and what life was like before the Great Flood. In 1 Enoch, which can be found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Nephilim were the children of the Watchers being the sons of God sent to watch over mankind, but betrayed God by laying with the daughters of men and creating the Nephilim. In 1 Enoch, the Nephilim were of greater size and strength to ordinary humans, and humanity could not produce enough food for them. Because of this, the Nephilim turned to cannibalism and began to eat the many humans around them. Because of the great amount of blood spilt by the Nephilim, and the evil actions of their heavenly fathers, teaching the secret knowledge of heaven to mankind, God sent the great flood to wipe out the knowledge of the Watchers and kill the Nephilim. The Nephilim and one Enoch were destroyed, and because of the primitive creation of their souls being from the sons of God and the daughters of men, they could not go to heaven as they were earthly souls. One Enoch further tells the reader that the spirits of the Nephilim, who have been banned by heaven, become the evil spirits that haunt and torment mankind. However, Genesis 6 is particularly written. In Genesis 6 it says, "The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward." The "also afterward" is an interesting phrase to use. Other than Genesis 6, there is a mention of the Nephilim in Numbers 13, in reference to the pre-Israel conquest of Canaan. In this context, the Nephilim are large-statured individuals who are of great size and strength. What is interesting about the Nephilim of Numbers 13 is that they are alive and are explicitly called the Nephilim. With Numbers 13, we have a second mention of the Nephilim, and like in Genesis 6, the "also afterward" is fulfilled. Other than these two mentions of the Nephilim, very little is known about the Nephilim other than their apparent divine origins, along with their larger size and strength compared to regular people. This refers to the second word used to refer to the idea of the giants, the Rephaim. The Rephaim are directly connected to individuals of large stature, such as Og, king of Bashan, and the enemies of David, who were referred to as Rephaim, who were traditionally people of larger size and strength.
Only King Og of Bashan was left of the remaining Rephaim. His bedstead, an iron bedstead, is now in Rabbah of the Ammonites. It is 9 cubits long and 4 cubits wide by the standard cubit.
King Og was one of the Rephaim, and his great size indicate that he was akin to a giant. And interestingly enough, he was a living king, much like the Nephilim were a living people in Numbers 13. But there is another use of the word Rephaim, which has been translated to the dead, shades, and spirits. This use of the word as a synonym of dead, shades, and spirits are almost exclusively associated with Sheol. Sheol was the place of waiting for all souls when they died, until the time of final judgment. This changed with the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, as it is Christian tradition that before Jesus was resurrected, he went into Sheol and gathered the righteous souls and created a direct pathway into heaven. This use of the word is similar to the way the Phoenicians used Rephaim, which was also used to refer to shades, spirits, and the dead. In Ugaritic, they have a similar root word with Rephaim, who were the great heroes and demigod children of the gods. In both the Phoenician and Canaan traditions, there is a mirror between the ancient Israelite Rephaim and the Canaanite great heroes and the Phoenician spirits. In both cases, these beings seem to represent the dead and great heroes or demigods, much like how in 1 Enoch described the large size and strength along with the divine origin of the Nephilim, along with the revelation that they became the evil spirits of the earth. When taken as a whole, a larger picture of the giants can be seen along with a timeline of events. The first mention of the giants is the Nephilim, who were the children of the sons of God. These Nephilim were of large stature and were wiped out during the Great Flood. If 1 Enoch is to be believed, then the Nephilim became the evil spirits of the world who inhabit Sheol. The next mention of the Nephilim are in reference to the living inhabitants of Canaan and the great stature and strength of these larger people. This is in parallel with the use of the word Rephaim. The Rephaim are also the living inhabitants of Canaan and Phoenicia, and refer to living kings of great strength and stature, and great warriors who were equally large. Their fame, such as King Og and the great heroes as described by David, can be seen as the giants. In Ugaritic, the Rephaim are the demigods of divine origin and are seen as great people with great size and strength. These great beings became noble spirits that greet the heroes on their path to the underworld. These traditions of the Ugaritic and Phoenician heroes, along with the same descriptions being used by the ancient Israelites with the use of the word Rephaim, are neatly connected to one Enoch's idea of the Nephilim. These ideas are further supported by Numbers 13, which places the people of pre-Israel as Nephilim. Combined, a clear picture is formed. The first of the giants were the Nephilim, which were the children of the sons of God, like Genesis 6 notes. They were wiped out by the great flood, becoming the evil spirits of the world. Thousands of years later, new Nephilim are created between the supposed evil gods and human beings to bring about the new Nephilim. Like the Nephilim during the time of Noah, these Nephilim were also wiped out with King Og, the last of the Rephaim, being destroyed. Much like how the original Nephilim became the evil spirits of the earth, these new Nephilim became the new evil spirits of the world. Did the giants survive the flood? Were the Rephaim the new Nephilim, like Genesis 6 and Numbers suggest? If the sons of God fathered the first Nephilim, who fathered the new Nephilim? Are the Nephilim the evil spirits of the world? Let me know in the comment section below, and for more Supernatural History TV, like and subscribe.